All right, good evening. Here we are, day 2 of the Arch Madness tournament. Welcome to the Rambler Sports Locker. I'm Nick Amatangelo, joined right now by Joe Flaherty. We had 4 big games, MVC action today. We'll get to Loyola a little bit later, but first things first, we had Wichita State taking on Evansville. So let's take the highlights.
Game 1 of the day pitted top seed Wichita State against 9th seeded Evansville. Wichita State crowd in full force as to be expected from the undefeated national number 2, but Evansville had an upset on their mind after a dominant first game. And right out of the gate, it's DJ Ballantyne for the Aces. Here he is with a huge 3 to get things started, and then almost right away another 3. That's NBA range there, folks. Here's Wichita from beyond the arc. They finished 10 of 21 on the day. Ron Baker turning defense into offense for the Shockers, taking it all the way for 2. Now, taking the ball away from Evansville became a common occurrence this game for the Shockers. Shockers finished with 9 steals on the night. And here's another one and takes it all the way in for the and 1. But Ballantyne, yep, he's still hot from 3. Massive block from Clee Anthony early to end the half. Ballantyne 17 points in the first half, 11 more than the second guy on the team. Wichita had a 10-point lead after halftime, but Ballantyne was determined to get back in. It hits a 3 early. Wichita, they like to block. Ballantyne, it's all up to you. Here's your 3. Just doesn't go. So now Wichita likes to dunk. How do you respond, Ballantyne? 3's no good taking it in, but oh, that's not going to work for you. Wichita, another dunk. This one's over quickly. 80-58 is your final score. Ballantyne's your top scorer for the Aces. As for the Shockers, they like sharing. 4 players in double digits. Baker credits the unselfish attitude to the team's success.
For me, that's kind of just how I was raised, be an unselfish individual. When I got here, that's what we're all about. I don't know if that was luck or destiny, whatever you want to call it, but this team is very unselfish, and if we continue to play like that, I like our chances.
All right, Joe, what do you think about Wichita State's performance today?
You know, Wichita State, they don't do it with one guy. They do it with a gang of guys.
Absolutely.
And today they had 4 guys scoring in double digits, more than 11 points. They had the blocking effort they had by Kadeem Colby was absurd. He had 6 blocks by himself, then that contributed to the 11 team blocks, which set a record in the MVC tournament for most total blocks. They don't come at you from one angle. They come at you from every angle, and they're completely calm about it. It's kind of like they're just consistently just kind of creeping in the water. They're always there. They're not going to beat themselves. That's the one thing that each coach is mentioning in the press conferences that they have to watch out for. They can't make mistakes because Wichita State doesn't make any themselves. So, and on the other hand, what you had with Evansville is they really, really, really rely on DJ Ballantyne.
One person, and it just didn't work from this time. They had a great game yesterday against Drake. Ballantyne was just untouchable. He hit everything, but today he was ice cold.
Yeah, I mean, he got plenty of shots up again, and I mean, he hit his fair share. He still hit 10 shots, and 4 of them being 3s, but obviously, if you see it at face value, 31 points, he's averaging over 30 points for the tournament in the 2 games, but you got to take that in the context of the entire rest of the team did pretty much next to nothing.
And an 80-58 win, that they were out of it by halftime, and there was just nothing that they could have done. So most of the points he got were, later in the game, garbage time. Exactly. There wasn't really anything they were going to be able to do.
He was just chucking up heat checks.
Exactly. So do you think Wichita State looked like the number 2 team in the nation?
Oh, absolutely. I think they look like the number 2 team in the nation, and most definitely the number 1 team in this tournament. I could say that for sure, having seen the whole field. Indiana State did show some good things against Loyola. They played a pretty complete game, but there's just something when you are seeing Wichita State operate at their full potential and their ability to do it without ever fretting or being nervous about it or second-guessing themselves. The utter calm and belief they have, they carry themselves as an elite team.
Well, we will talk about Indiana State a little bit later. But first things first, we had to find who was going to play Wichita State in the semifinals. And to do that, Missouri State, the 4 seed, took on Illinois State, the 5 seed.
Second game of the day saw Missouri State taking on Illinois State. Now, if you were looking for first half offense, this is not the game for you. This basket here from Illinois State, that's their first of the game. Comes with 10 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first. But once they made it, things started to pick up a little bit for them. There's a nice layup and one. Now, I don't know about you, but how about an alley-oop to Christian Kirk for some offense? But these two teams were a combined 4 of 20 from 3 in the first half with 13 total turnovers. Missouri State was up by 5 in the second half, but that's when Zach Lofton from ISU got hot. I mean, really hot. I mean, 3 3-pointers in the span of about 90 seconds hot. This one from way out there. Paris Lee for the Redbirds, getting the steal, taking it all the way to the house with the and-one layup. That gives them their first lead of the game. But Missouri State has a 3-point shooter of their own, Austin Reuter, absolutely drilling it from 3. That put Missouri State back on top. Illinois State's last prayer just clangs off the rim. That's going to do it. 53-48 your final. Now, Zach Lofton was good, but Reuter was slightly accurate. MSU head coach Paul Lusk believes in Reuter's abilities.
When I recruited him, he's got that it. He's not afraid of the moment. He's done it all year for us. And I think he'll continue to get better and work on areas in his game. There's no doubt about it, but he just never seems to be afraid of the big stage.
All right, I'm now joined with Bridget Sheeran. So Missouri State moves on. They survived a late run by Illinois State. But the story of the game really was the first half. Absolute inability for the teams to score. What are your thoughts on that?
It was an ugly first half. I had seen some high school games that had higher scores in that first half. But, I mean, they did all right. They beat each other out in the second half. Illinois State was shooting 20% from the field in the first half. But, I mean, Missouri State was only shooting 28%. So nobody was really getting the basket in today. But that second half really picked up with the threes. Zach Lofton scored a whole bunch for Illinois State. Austin Reuter, the freshman, really picked it up for Missouri State. So
now Rutter's closing in on a record, isn't he?
Yeah, he now has 71 3-pointers on the season because he had 6 today, which makes him the #1 freshman 3-point shooter in Missouri State history. So he does have the record now. It's the 7th time this season he's had 4 or more 3-pointers in a game. He kind of is just a beast behind that 3-point line.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about Illinois State's run there. It was all about Lofton.
Zach Lofton is a very hot and cold player. You heard both coaches say this in their press conferences this afternoon. Zach Lofton, he'll give you this run where he'll get 3, 4, 5 threes in a row, but then he'll just go ice cold and he'll miss and he'll be all over the place, and it's just not. He's a great player, but he's very streaky, and it makes it very difficult for Illinois State to rely on him, especially when literally nobody else did much in this game. It was the Zach Lofton show.
All right. Well, Missouri State takes on Wichita State tomorrow. Do they stand any kind of chance against the #2 team in the nation?
I don't know. I saw some flashes of life out of Missouri State today. I mean, Christian Kirk had a great game. He was 3 for 4. Pickens had a pretty good game. McCullough was okay. Austin Reuter was the big story. But that Wichita State team, there's a reason they're #2 in the country. I really don't foresee them losing to Missouri State. They're a good team. They're not good enough to beat Wichita at this point.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks, Bridget. Moving to the other half of the bracket, the moment you've all been waiting for, Loyola, after their thrilling win over Bradley last night, taking on Indiana State, the #2 seed in the tournament. Let's see how they did.
First game of the second session, it's Loyola, the 10 seed, looking to keep up their buzzer-beating, game-winning ways against Indiana State, the #2 seed in the tournament. Now, early in the first half, it's Loyola getting blocked. And then Indiana State takes it coast to coast, takes it all the way down for the basket, and one. Indiana State's up big. This 3 here by the Ramblers, that's the lone bright spot you're going to see from the offense in the first half. They are 4 of 22 from the floor in the first. But Loyola's only down 4 going into the second half, and they can make it close, right? Well, that's when they start hitting their threes. There's 1, there's 2. And there's not much for the Ramblers. They also get this nice fast break dunk. Loyola just falls apart in the second half. At least Tony Nixon and Billy Clark get a 3 in their final Loyola game. This magic's over. ISU wins 75-62. Milton Doyle had a tough game, going only 1 for 7. ISU led by Jake Odom's 18. Porter Moser hopes this is a good start to build on, though.
You know, they just haven't been on this kind of stage before. And with this league, and then coming to a tournament like this, and this has to motivate us in the offseason. You know, our goal is not to be playing on Thursday night, win one game. You know, we want to be playing on Sunday.
All right, now I'm joined by Joaquin Carrig, men's basketball beat writer for the Loyola Phoenix. Now, Joaquin, 75-62 the final. The game was not that close, was it?
It really wasn't. I mean, and the 4-point halftime lead for Indiana State was a little bit deceiving as well. Loyola went for 4 for 22 in the first half. That's 18.2% field goal percentage. They were just out of sorts on offense. Absolutely. And I really think it was, I owe it partially due to Indiana State's defense and up the up-tempo type game that they were playing. And I really think it took them out of their more half-court, slowed-down offense, which is what they're used to running. They're used to having low-scoring games. And Indiana State was pushing the ball. And I think Loyola was taking shots early in the shot clock and just ill-advised shots. I thought that they were just the entire game they were out of sync. And then another problem was Milton Doyle picked up 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes.
Right away.
Didn't play the entire first half. Yeah. And so he eventually played the second half.
But he wasn't in a rhythm.
Exactly. You can't find a rhythm if you sit for 15 minutes of the game.
Exactly.
So it was a struggle. It was a struggle today, especially after such a great game they played yesterday.
Oh,
probably one of the best games I've seen Loyola play all year. They played probably one of their worst. I mean, and this is sort of microcosm of every game that they've been in this year. Is they show glimpses of having a great camaraderie amongst each other, and then in the last 6 minutes they blow the game. So this was just 2 separate games, but it was the same. It was more of the same. They played really well in one game and then really bad in the next, and it was just really frustrating to watch, especially after the euphoria of watching Milton Doyle hit that amazing shot at the end of the first game.
Of course, Devin Turk, he was great yesterday. He was just a non-factor today.
See, Turk is a bit of a question mark for me. When he can take a step back and be a secondary player and just sit on the baselines, he is a much more dynamic player. Catch and shoot, that's where he thrives. When he is forced to have the ball in his hands a bit more and forced to be able to make basketball decisions, driving to the rim, passing and stuff like that, he's not quite at the level of Milton Doyle or Jeff White in that regard. He can be explosive shooting,
of course,
but he's just so raw in so many other ways that it really, if he's off from shooting, he's a detriment to the team. And so when he's a detriment to the team, it just makes our offense so much. When he's on, people have to come out and respect him. Absolutely. And so that opens up the floor for the big men inside, for Christian Thomas inside, and for Milton Doyle to attack and Jeff White to attack the lane. When he's off, they can play off of him. They can clog the lane, and it just makes our offense, which is already somewhat impaired as is, even more slow and clogged up. So
we need to get bigger. That's what my thinking is. They just tower over us in a lot of cases, and I feel like that was part of the problem today.
Yeah, no, that was definitely the problem today, and that was something that I was sort of getting frustrated with, was the fact that they kept trying to feed Christian Thomas and Nick Osborne inside when they were clearly bigger than us. And Christian will get fouled sometimes and get to go to the free throw line, but more than not, he's going to get blocked or overpowered. And Absolutely. They kept trying to go to the middle, and I did not understand why they're trying to go to the middle, especially when we have Milton Doyle, when we have Jeff White, who can shoot from outside. I didn't understand why that was the main offensive focus of the game today. And I really think it hurt our offense. So
no, absolutely.
Yeah. Again, I'm speaking all poorly about Loyola, but Indiana State, I mean, don't get me wrong, is a good team. They're the second best team in the MVC.
There's a reason they're number 2 in the conference.
And Odom, Jake Odom from I think I'm not sure what year he is, but he was on today. Yeah, we couldn't stop him today. He had 18 points today, 13 in the first half, and he was cutting into the lane, hitting open threes. I mean, he was just all over the place today, and we couldn't do anything to stop him.
The final score, we lost by 13, but it was really 20 until the last minute and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe even 2 minutes when we put in, Billy Clark.
It was good to see Billy Clark and
especially hitting that
Tony
three.
Nixon in there, because they're both seniors. This is their last opportunity to don the maroon and gold, and
They both thrived a little bit.
Billy hit a 3. Tony hit 2 threes and had a layup too.
9 points in a minute and a half.
So it's good to see them go out on a high note.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was really nice. But I mean, obviously bittersweet because Loyola's out of the tournament, season's over. But I think there's a lot of room to grow. A very young team, one of the youngest in the country still.
Yeah.
Again,
no
major
seniors.
Yeah. So I am very optimistic about the future. I mean, Milton Doyle's going to be a star.
He already
guarantee.
is.
I mean, he already is.
NBC newcomer, freshman of the year.
But I'm talking nationally. Milton Doyle's going to be one of the top players in the NCAA.
I can see that happening. So hopefully, down the line things will pick up a little bit. But
big men.
We need to get a little bit bigger. Need to get a little bit taller.
And stronger.
Yeah. So Indiana State moves on. They will take on the winner of our next game. Southern Illinois taking on UNI. UNI, the 3 seed, therefore the favorite. But we'll see what happens.
Now, the nightcap featured 3 seed Northern Iowa and 6 seed Southern Illinois. The Salukis were hungry for an upset today, but beating the Panthers of UNI would not be an easy task. Early on for Southern Illinois, it's Desmar Jackson hitting a 3. Now watch this play from UNI. Missed shot, still under the rebound. Another layup doesn't go, but they don't give up on the play, and they finally get it to fall. That's Seth Tuttle, and he finally puts it away and draws the foul. Now, what number is Jackson? That's right. He's number 3. And just in case you missed the first 2 threes, here's another. Jackson was electric in the first half. He had 20 points, 8 boards. Tuttle was the best for UNI. SIU was rolling in the first, but they were up 18 at the break. But here come the Panthers. They started the second half with this nice 6-0 run with this dunk. And a little bit later, that's right, it's more dunks. But luck just was on SIU's side as this long pass is saved by SIU, and they are able to put it in the net for 2. Southern hangs on to win it, 63-58, but Jackson, who was so good in the first, was virtually missing the second half. Finished with only 3 more points and collected 4 fouls. Tuttle's the star for UNI. SIU head coach Barry Hinson knew it would come down to the wire.
Missouri Valley Conference basketball. I mean, that's it. And I had no visions of grandeur at halftime. I just knew it would come down to the wire.
All right, so Southern Illinois held on 63-58. They'll play Indiana State tomorrow. What stood out to you from this game?
Well, what was funny was the fact that I thought this game was over.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, pretty much at halftime.
It was.
A little after half. I mean, Southern Illinois was just running away with it. Jackson was going off.
Yeah,
and
20 points in the
20
first
points
half.
in the first half, and then he had 3 in the second half.
Literally, he vanished.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach didn't think that he did. Coach felt that the defense was kind of being drawn to Jackson and therefore opening lanes for other players. But if you look at the stat sheet, it's so unimpressive. He picked up 4 fouls in the second half, 3 points, like 2 rebounds, 3 rebounds, like 4 turnovers. Like, he just was not the same player.
And to be honest, SIU should not have won that game.
No, they shouldn't have.
Northern Iowa was on a fantastic run.
They were on a 25-9 run or something like that through the second half.
But they never led. They
did not
tied the game, but they never led. And I think
past the early part of the first half.
Right. No, I'm saying in the second half when they made the run, they never actually led in the game. SIU made enough plays at the end of the game to hold on for the victory, which was kind of impressive given the momentum swing was just so gigantic towards Northern Iowa. But talk about those 2 crowds.
Oh, wow. Those were 2 of the most rowdy crowds going at it today.
Great. I mean, Wichita State was rowdy, but it was one-sided.
One-sided. This was the most balanced.
They were going back and forth.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And, the UNI SIU chants going on at the same time. That was just so much fun to watch, and that's what makes the Arch Madness tournament great, I feel.
Yeah. And especially, this was an especially good game, given the fact. I mean, I would put it only underneath the Milton Doyle game because, really, most of the games have not even been that competitive.
They really haven't
until this game and the Loyola game versus Bradley. So I would like for in the next couple days, a few more closely heated games to round out a very exciting first Missouri Valley Conference tournament for Loyola.
Well, we got the 1 seed, the 4 seed, the 2 seed, and the 6 seed moving on to the finals. Game 1, Wichita State, Missouri State. That's 1:35 tomorrow. Who you got?
Who do I have? Well, I mean, without a doubt, Wichita State is definitely advancing. Are you saying overall?
Well, for this game.
For this game, Wichita State. Yeah, I mean, Missouri State, they showed signs of being a good team, but they don't. To me, they don't really have a standout star.
No.
They don't have enough pieces to be able to stop the larger. I mean, when you watch Wichita State, that team is just. I mean,
So
they're
stacked.
just so big.
They
mean,
really
so much
are.
bigger than every other team in the Missouri Valley. It's unreal. I don't. There's no question Wichita State will win that game.
Other game, Indiana State, Southern Illinois.
I will go with SIU. I like the way they played today.
That'll be an interesting upset. Hopefully they can pull it off, but we'll see what happens. Until tomorrow, I'm Nick Amatangelo, joined by Joaquin Carrig right now. For Joe Flaherty and Bridget Sheeran, I'm Nick Amatangelo. See you guys later.